Marky Worthington Podcast all day.
All day.
Dream by night.
Don't buy me a drink. Just give me $10.
All day.
Go down to the strip club with your floppy disk and turn it into a hard drive.
Yeah, right. You'll get fucking thrown out by Big Tony.
We're here to name names and make people feel more ashamed for shit that they're not proud of.
Don't blow it. Keep it simple. Count your money.
No, whatever it is.
Hello and welcome to the mighty, the glorious episode 100 of the Marky Worthington Comedy Podcast. You may recognise that scream. It is the notorious Cy Fahey.
Definitely notorious. Yeah.
Here
Thanks
he
for having
is.
me, man.
Hey, episode 100. We made it, dude.
Yeah, made it. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I actually bought, because it is 100 episodes, I actually bought you a gift because it can't go unpunished. So there's a bottom of Gentleman Jack for you, sir.
Oh, shit. Look at that. Hey.
Think at your own
Bloody
leisure, because you are a gentleman economy of comedy, bringing me back on.
Yep.
And I don't know if you, for visitors home, I'm currently wearing a Cy Fahey comedy t-shirt, which is extra large, and extra large doesn't fit me, so I'm gifting Marky an extra large Cy Fahey comedy television, and I have taken that off to reveal a Marky Worthington comedy t-shirt to wear, especially the 100th episode. So congratulations, man.
Hey,
round of applause.
You. Yeah, good stuff.
Hard work.
emceeing my podcast for me. Excellent. Good. No, thank you. Appreciate that.
No
I actually really like that design. Who did the cartoon for that? It looks fucking awesome.
Does it look familiar?
Yeah, it looks like that looks like actually like a bit like mine. It's like a Tristan Tate sort
Yeah,
of
it does
design.
look like a Tristan Tate design, because Tristan Tate's very good at what he does.
No, he did a really good
Yeah.
job. It's cool that he did both of our logos, but they are both completely unique.
they are.
Yeah. So I reckon, it's really good. And you got better merch than me because yours is actually fucking seems to be printed into the
Yeah, I
fabric.
don't know what the process is called, but yeah, it's actually printed into the material, so it lasts a lot longer. Also costs a shit.
Yeah.
Which is why only 10 of those shirts are actually made.
There we go. Hey, fuck
originally.
yeah. Fuck it. I'm part of the 10
You're
now.
part of the 10 now.
We don't need a fucking football team. We have 10 shirts for fucking Kai.
That's right. You're lucky my ex-girlfriend gave one back.
Oh, fuck yeah.
No, that's not the one she gave me.
The sad part is my ex-girlfriend's shirts would probably be bigger than XL, so I'd have to find someone.
Take it to a tailor, trim it down. Yeah.
Fuck, that's funny as fuck. Yeah, dude. I seen Rory Lowe's shirts are embroidered with the thing, and it was like that scene in American Psycho when they're handing the business cards out, and he's like jealous of the other business card. Because I look at other people's merch, and I'm just like, oh, it's embossed, it's embroidered. Oh fuck, is that? Yeah, is that? Oh no, he's just made a mockery of me.
Sublaminate, that's what they call it. Sublaminate.
There we go. It finally came to you.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you were on, I think, episode 3 or 4
Yeah,
of
it was
the
pretty
podcast.
early days.
Yeah, so that was a...
I should have been first, but anyway.
Well, he's... Yeah. Surprisingly enough, the episode you kind of are.
I kind of am first because you had to delete.
Yeah,
number
because
1.
episode 1 and 2 don't exist anymore.
Yeah,
so I mean, by
default, Stephen Bradbury it all the way, coming in. The others fell over. I'm still here, still standing. Fuck yeah, I'm gonna take that, man. I'll take that. I want my gold medal, right?
You just had to fucking get rid of everyone that was in the episodes before.
Yeah. Have you heard from them ever again? That's what I'm asking.
It's going to be a lot harder for cunts like fucking Phil Carruthers, who's like 41. He's going to need to take out a lot of people.
It's got a long list, baby.
That's a lot of work for a title he doesn't need.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, that's the backstory on the previous episodes. Being episode 100, it's come a fair way. I think that episode was actually, we recorded in the back room at the basement.
We did, yeah.
Before one of the open mics. Starting from now, like after this episode's out, every second episode is going to have an intro of me.
Yep.
And then followed by an episode from like fucking 4 years ago.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to talk at the top about the episode, the person, maybe even get that person back.
Yeah.
And then throw up a retro episode. So every second one will be new, and every other one will be a previous episode.
Yeah.
So soon your episode will be back up again.
There you go.
But I'm going to release the video because I originally just did it audio only, but I recorded video and
You did? Did you? Wow. Yeah, I can't remember that.
Yeah, I recorded video but didn't release the video.
Yeah.
So soon the actual unreleased footage from that
wow.
episode is going to come out.
There you go.
The one that I couldn't actually put out because at the time I had a beer sponsor and you were drinking fucking premixes that you bought in yourself.
Fucking cheers. Gentleman Jack.
Gentleman Jacks, he's got the premix. And don't forget, in the end of last year's wrap-up, when we did the cigar and whiskey episode, Guy mixed the expensive whiskey I got with pre-mix.
Coke,
No,
with
it was pre-mixed fucking Jack Daniels. So instead of just putting a bit of Coke in there, it was pre-made Jack and Coke. She just fucking bundied it
I'm
up.
a man of class. I'm a man of class, man. What I'm telling you.
Straight Coca-Cola is not enough.
I'm a classy dude. Mate.
Well,
Come party with me.
This will be the last episode for the year with you on it because I'm doing a different schedule. I figured that 100 is better than end of year, and we're close
Christmas.
enough anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll this will basically be a wrap up for the year and 100 all in one.
Yeah.
But yeah, we got a bunch of topics to get through.
Yep.
I don't normally plan for episodes, but this one here is the most planned episode that I've had.
I'm glad you rolled out the red carpet for me.
That's it.
I deserve it.
Yeah, exactly. That's actually just my beard, but
I just had this image of your sex life and you're just rolling out the red carpet.
yeah. It's a different landing strip for me. But yeah, I've got a couple of things.
Yep.
First of all, I want this episode to be timeless.
Yeah.
I want people to be able to use this as a point of reference. And one day, if I ever get like massive numbers, they can go back to episode 100, see how much of a milestone it was.
Yeah.
And they can look back at that and go, hey, look, he thought 100 was big. Now he's up to 500 or whatever.
1,000.
Yeah, or 1,000.
Yeah,
I wasn't going to shoot too high.
Nah, shoot for the moon.
Shoot for the fucking moon. But in the vein of making this episode timeless, I would just like to devote this episode to the late, great John Cleese.
Yes.
He's, at the time of recording, still alive.
Still alive.
But chances are, if you're listening back to this, he's done.
Well, he's actually stand-up tour recently, which I went and saw. Very good tickets. I think it was front row. Yeah, it was front row.
Yeah.
It
know,
was
'cause
actually called. You were there.
I know,
That's right,
because I
you were
was
there.
in row
And
J.
you were in row J. And I was at the front,
see you.
just like, this thing. Pretty sure I gave you the finger at one stage.
Yeah.
That's that Garbo money, mate. When you're slanging rubbish. But it was called the late great John Cleese.
Yeah, so, I would like. That's why. I would like to devote this to the late great John Cleese.
Yes.
And by which I mean his recent comedy tour.
But also, if he's dead, to him as
He
well.
opened that so funny, dude. He's like, a lot of you don't know this. I actually died 2 weeks ago, but we just haven't told anyone yet. So we needed to still finish the tour.
That show was so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was it like being up front? Like seeing the legend, like mere meters.
He actually, it was absolutely fantastic. I could actually see though that he was using a prompt screen, just off to my peripheral, but he barely looked at it. It was just like to thing, but it was just to be up that close and to sort of see. He actually made. I'm sorry, ladies, but I've actually got a girlfriend now, and she has the most loudest laugh. And there was one stage where he told this really. Remember when at the bit near the end of the show where he's just like, "Can I tell that joke?" And his manager's like, "Yeah, you can tell that joke." So he told that joke about in Germany with that thing, and then my missus was laughing so hard at that joke, he actually stopped and just like looked at her, and then this little smile just like crinkled across his face of like, yeah, man, I still got it, and people still understand what comedy can be and stuff, and like he was almost proud, like it was, and I only would have been able to see that because I was up so close. I could actually see some of those that facial expression, some of those little mannerisms. So it was. It's probably the only time in my life I'm ever going to get to see John Cleese. So I'm really glad it was like right there, dead center. Yeah. I've been pretty lucky in that way. When I saw Robin Williams live, the only time I saw him, it wasn't front row, but it was so close to the front row that I could see all his facial features. And the
Sure.
one time I've seen Jimmy Carr, it was front row as well.
Sure.
So I've I've been pretty. It's like flying business class. I don't think I'd go back. So if I can't get front row seats for those people ever again, if they're alive or what, I've at least got that one out of the way. So it was short answer. Yeah, it was absolutely fantastic.
Keep driving trucks, keep listening to the radio, and keep winning competitions,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
you can see people front row. It wasn't the Garbo money; it was the Garbo hours.
No, it was the Garbo money. Actually, no, I don't think I even paid for that ticket. I think my girlfriend did.
Well, if you paid for it, technically the taxpayers paid for it. So
I paid for it. Jimmy Carr, I paid for.
Yeah.
But that's because he thought it was actually Garbo hours. I was the only one free to log on at like the 9 a.m. and I logged on at like 9:01.
Yeah.
And already like half the front row was already sold out. So I still don't know how I managed to get a front row ticket to that.
Yeah.
But
I did the same. I logged in last minute, not last minute, but like at like 1:45.
Yeah.
And just sat there refreshing it. And then fucking, like, literally, like, whatever happened, I got distracted. By 10 past, it was done.
Yeah.
But I was actually at work, so I needed to actually do work. But on top of that, though, the same thing with Jim Jeffries, dude. So I got front row for Jim Jeffries last year.
Yeah, nice.
And the funny story is we didn't coordinate it, Lucy and I. My fiance, for those listening, making this episode timeless, wife, and and even further into the future,
divorcee, widow, my widow,
bitch, mum to me kid. No, that's for now though. Good,
yeah. Getting remarried the second time.
Yeah.
We figured it all out.
If you're listening to this, you met Kai at my second wedding, and you wanted to know more about him. No.
Yeah.
But anyway, there you go. There's enough samples there. I can just mix and match.
Cut it up.
Yeah.
In the future. Go back and edit.
But yeah, I was logged in at home.
Yeah.
Refreshing. I had the day off or something. I was just fucking refreshing the Jim Jeffries ticket site.
Yeah.
Because it was like pre-sales for Telstra customers or some shit. So I went on there, refresh, and I reserved a seat that was sitting there like in my basket or whatever. 2 seats like second row from the front. That's the best I could get. And I was like, just before I do this, I'm just going to check to see if Lucy's got the day off or the night off or whatever. Called her up and I'm like, hey, I've got row B for Jim Jeffries. Are you free on this date? And she goes, just cancel it because I got row A. And she was doing the exact same thing at her place.
That's love. There you go.
So I canned mine, but they happened to be the row behind. So I was like,
same seats.
So when we got there, I turned around. I'm just like, hey, did you guys? Because I waited until the thing was full and then I deleted mine.
Yeah.
So some cunt got like row B when the next available was like fucking K.
All the way back.
And I turned around, I'm like, enjoy the seats, fellas? And I was just like, yeah. And I was just like, that's because I sat there with them in my basket and removed them. They're like, oh, fuck yeah, cunt.
Yeah, buy me a drink.
No, at a Jim Jeffries show, you're just happy they don't punch you in the back of the head.
Yeah.
It was a wild show. It was a great fucking set. Speaking of John Cleese, a big section of his set was talking about how him and John Cleese did a movie together. During the lockdown, they wrote a script together.
Okay.
But I think maybe it was because it's not, the movie hasn't been released
Yeah, I don't think
yet.
it's been released yet.
Or maybe it was because Netflix doesn't have the rights to it or something. But his recent special was all the material from that show.
Yeah.
Minus the 15 minutes, because the show's an hour and 15.
Yeah.
They cut out the 15 at the end of the show, which was basically his closing bit about John Cleese and him, which was the best
part of the show.
Part of the show.
Closer.
Yeah, and so the good thing seeing it live instead of just waiting for the show to come out is I seen that extra 15 minutes, and then together Lucy and I went and seen John Cleese. So it's just like it was good to come full circle.
There you go.
But yeah, fucking Jim Jeffries, another one I got to see. But I haven't seen Jimmy Carr like that. I've had a few opportunities. I never.
Yeah, I don't know how. Like with Jimmy Carr, I just I just same thing, got on time, right time. But I thought, no, I'll definitely, it's coming to Canberra, so I thought definitely got to. So it's actually not my partner's first time seeing him. She's seen him before.
Yep.
I've seen Jim Jeffries twice, but they're both pretty bad seats that I got off like people. It's like, oh, we got some spare tickets. You want to come along? But no, Jimmy Carr was really good, and I was actually there with Luke Burney.
Oh yeah,
Luke Burney,
Canberra's Jimmy Carr.
Yeah, Canberra's Jimmy Carr, and his partner, and I actually had my housemate with me.
Yeah,
it was the other. So it was 4 of us, and Jimmy actually got stuck into Luke about anti-vaxxing. It was the whole thing, and Luke's just getting his ass chewed by Jimmy Carr, and he's got the biggest fucking grin on his face, man. He was loving every second of it, because right there in the front row, you know, like Jimmy's like, you know, and he just started like
hooking into
Luke,
Fuck yes,
you know, and hooking into Luke, and Luke, I don't think he's ever been happier in his entire life. He was just like, this guy's calling me a cunt, and I fucking love it. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, dude.
Yeah, so he was, he was pretty chuffed. So it was good to see how happy he was. But no, Jimmy Carr, absolutely great. Did like back-to-back shows too, which I've done back-to-back shows.
Yep.
Must take it. But he's just so much bigger. Like, must take so much out of him. Like, because he literally like shuffle one audience out, shuffle another one in, and go again. And he did 2 hours. For our show.
Yeah.
So he did 4 hours of stand up that night. Like,
Fuck.
yeah, actually, I was actually impressed about how, because he had like the show was split into 2 halves, and in the middle he just is like, okay, I'm just going to try this, I'm going to try that, like, and he just like was just riffing, and he was just talking to people in the audience, and like just riffing with them and riffing off the audience and all that. But that took up like a good 45 minutes. Or him just fucking around, and he's like, okay, cool. Anyway, I'll have a break, and I'll come back and I'll finish the show for you. Like, you know, like, and then so he came back out and did like a closer, like 40 to close. Like it's like, whoa, man. Yeah. And then he shuffled the audience out and brought another one back in. We weren't even allowed to leave out of the main entrance.
Oh, really? They were going in?
Yeah, we had to go like out the side doors because the auditorium was already full with like a new crowd come straight in. And literally the moment we started coming out, they started bringing more people in.
Fuck
like, yeah, smash it out. So he would have only had half-hour turnaround in that night.
Yeah.
Made his money, I guess. Like, would have made a fucking pretty penny that night. So.
Yeah, what a unit, man. Just getting him in. I heard him on a podcast. I heard him on Dean Del Rey's podcast. And it was like, I think it was like, before or after a gig, maybe like it was in the green room or something. Yeah, and it was early on in Dean Del Rey. Sorry, it was. I think I don't know whether it was a previous episode, like because sometimes I'll go back and listen to really old ones. Yeah. But yeah, it was fucking funny because Jimmy was like going like, well, I'll, you know, I'm not that famous yet, but like after this podcast comes out, I'll like, and it's just so funny to think of like the fact that, it's right. Like there's a certain level where you get to where it's just like, it's not going to really affect your level of fame, whether you do a show, a podcast or whatever, but he took the time to do it anyway. Yeah. And I thought that was cool.
Yeah. I reckon he'd be a pretty cool dude. Like,
he was fun to listen to on a podcast. Yeah. I've heard him. That's the first time I ever heard him on a podcast. I mostly just seen him like with his live shows, but like his fucking specials. Never seen him live, but the funny thing is Dean Del Rey's big with like the music scene. Yeah. So he's had like like the guys from AC/DC and shit like that, and like he's had Gene Simmons from Kiss on there, and like all these like crazy big like music gods, and he's had a few big comedians, but he sort of crosses. He's like both of my podcasts in one.
Combine.
Yeah. So, that was cool to have him on there. But
just switch off this podcast now and head over to deandelrey.com and deal your comedy and music needs.
Or you can
stay and watch us.
Or you can listen to like this episode and then listen to one of my metal ones and then come back to this. And but yeah, the other thing is this is all topical. I'm burning through material here. All right, so we were chatting before the show about not being able to turn off being a comedian.
The humour.
And I was chatting about how sometimes in situations where I got to be super serious, you know, like if I'm like even at like even at funerals, and I'll think to myself, imagine if, you know, the person, like the coffin just busted open. The person was like, ha ha, gotcha. Like, and I'll just be there in the middle of a funeral just thinking about, imagine if they did that.
Have you ever seen 6 Feet Under?
No.
TV show, speaking of funerals, and it's like, but yeah, it's actually a movie about a funeral home.
Yeah.
And this chick dies, like,
Yeah.
in church, has like a heart attack.
Yeah.
But then they fully like prepare her and they put her in a coffin, like it's some religious thing, like she's got to be buried like that day.
Yeah.
And it turns out she wasn't actually dead.
I think it's a Jewish thing to be buried.
Yeah,
like
the very
so.
next day,
Yeah.
so they don't have time for like embalming and all
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
So they've stuck her in the coffin, and then she actually comes back alive in the middle of her own funeral, realizes she's at her own funeral, and then has a heart attack and drops dead.
Oh shit!
It's like that's probably what happens. It's like everyone else would probably die or whatever, but somebody would definitely die of a heart attack. But I just thought how unfortunate would it be that like you pop out like you're actually in your own funeral, and then she end up having a heart attack and actually dropping dead again.
Do you know, actually, I think the reason that I do that is because I do it as like a coping mechanism for stress.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
And it seems like most people, just because you're not displaying signs of stress like they traditionally would want you to or expect you to, they think that you're not stressed. And it's just like, if I say that my brain was fucking wired different, where I laughed instead of cried like the Joker.
Yeah.
You see me laughing and people just expect, oh yeah, he's just having a laugh. It's just like, well, me trying to make humor is actually me in stress most of the time.
Yeah, 100%, man. I totally agree with that. Like, that's probably, like I learned as a child, my big, coping mechanism was my sense of humor to try to, like, deflect, like I said, stress and stressful situations. And so, yeah, the more jokes I tell, the more worried you should probably be.
Yeah.
You know? But like, yeah, man, I just can't switch it off. Like, I'll make some of the most inappropriate comments.
Yeah.
Well, not inappropriate comments as in the comment itself is inappropriate, but the timing is inappropriate. You know what I mean? Like, people are like, how the hell can you make a joke at this time? And I'm like, it's because if I don't laugh, I cry, kind of like.
Dude,
thing.
I've been midway through like a fucked up, like, we're gonna break up conversation with an ex of mine.
Yeah.
And she was just like, like it just feels so distant from you, like whenever you are near me, you don't touch me.
Yeah.
I just want you to touch me. So I just grabbed her tit. Just in that moment.
I'm touching you.
And she just goes, you're a fucking idiot.
You're a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
That's why I'm fucking breaking up.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I like we spoke about that. I actually had a pretty unpleasant thing with pleasantry with one of my exes, like recent exes, and we actually ended up at court one stage. And even when me and her were outside the courthouse finishing the argument we should have had inside the courthouse, I was still dropping jokes like left, right. This is like this biblical, like super stressful moment for both of us, I'm not going to pretend that stress was one way, but and here I am still like dropping in zingers whenever I could, because what else do you do? As I said,
it's a stress thing.
It's a stress thing.
There is so the topic I wanted to bring up was there's a time and a place for comedy. However, there's also, the funny thing I found was other comedians, just like how you and I have this thing in common, it's not just that. Like, I've heard stories of a lot of comedians doing it. It seems to be a pretty common thing. And sometimes comedians will get told before they go on stage, hey, just letting you know that, like, for example, with me, I've been about to go out and someone's like, hey man, just letting you know there's like a 15-year-old in the front of the crowd, and I'll just be like, okay, yeah, no worries. And then I go out like, all right, so who here uses condoms? You, sir, what do you do you know about them? And then I'll look at the parents and be like, well, you obviously don't, because you got the young fella here. Like, I'll just do that. Have you ever had a situation where you've been told to steer away from a topic but you've leaned in? It's nearly like I know.
Many times. Many times. But sometimes it's not even being told not to. Sometimes I just know there are topics you shouldn't touch, and I'm like, I'm gonna go in with this one. And it gets me in trouble. Won't lie. But no, I can't think of anything specifically that I 100% want to talk about. But what was the example you're like?
All right, I'll pull it. So that was
the example.
That was my example.
Yeah.
You seem to not have any, so I'll go and get
I've got heaps. I guess.
I'm just fucking with you.
Yeah.
I
mean, as I said, one of them ended up at court. I do not want to answer that question on the grounds that may incriminate me.
Guys, Fahey's views don't reflect that of the Marky Worthington Comedy Podcast.
Exactly. But speaking of kids, I've had a few where there are kids in the audience.
It's always a difficult
always a difficult one, and it depends how young they are. Like, I kind of feel like if you bring a kid to a comedy show, it's almost on the parent. But if the kid gets... Because I had one recently, and there was like a 6-year-old running around the audience. Yeah. And I had this whole... I had the face fucking routine, like all ready to go because I wanted the thing, and I was like, nah, I can't do that with like a 6-year-old. But I think that's probably one of the only times.
Please say you can't do that in front of a 6-year-old. You can't.
I can't
say you can't do that with a 6-year-old.
I probably can't do it in front of a 12-year-old either. Yeah. Like 15 is probably the cutoff for that joke. But it's like.
It must be at least this old to enter.
Yeah. That's probably the only joke I ever really hold back on, depending on the audience, because it is an R-rated joke. Yeah. But for the most part, I don't care. Like, if you got a kid in the audience, you put them to a comedy show, then you're gonna, like, I'm not gonna change very much in my material unless it's like pretty graphic to that kind. Even I'm like, nah, I'm not comfortable with that. Like, but for the most part, lean into it.
The only time I would cut back is if I didn't think that people were still going to be having fun. Yeah. So, like, if I do... Like, when I did that bit with the condom, the fucking kid was laughing and so were the parents. But if they were, like, in awe, then and the rest of the crowd was in awe. Ooh, yeah. And the best thing is the rest of the crowd was kind of like, oh, we'll just wait and see if they laugh first. Yeah. And then once they were laughing, the rest were cool. Yeah. So it was all good. And I did the hacky fucking like, whoa, you're going to have a conversation on the way home. But here's 2 examples.
Okay, 2 examples.
So... I've briefly mentioned this to you before, but now you're on the pod. I want to see what you think of this. This is a very similar situation. So, Dave Attell, apparently, who's a like one of the names in the New York scene, is kind of like he's like the comics comic of the New York scene. So it just goes to show how fucking ruthless this dude is, right? Yeah. Like, he'll do full stand-up specials just wearing fucking like a zip-up black jacket, jeans, and a black cap. Yeah. Like, he doesn't dress up. He's just very, very cool. So he's about to go out to a audience. He was in the green room, and apparently there was a little person in the crowd, and the MC goes up to him while the previous comedian's on stage and says, "Hey, Dave, just letting you know that there's a little person in the crowd. So just if you've got any jokes about that, just try and be sensitive." And he's like, yeah, no worries. And then apparently he just goes straight out there and goes like, I hear we have a little man in the crowd. And everyone fucking like floors laughing because that's not leaning in. But here is the one I didn't speak to you about. Yeah, that is leaning in. Sorry. Yeah. So there's a guy, Nathan McIntosh. He was on Paul Verzi's podcast, and Paul Verzi and him were chatting. And Nathan McIntosh actually seen this happen. This was at a gig that when he first started. Yeah. So he was saying that he might have mentioned the name, but basically what happened was the headliner was told like one of them had a neck brace on, but he still was doing comedy.
It was comedy gold right there.
And the MC was they were like, hey, just letting you know the headliner's wearing a neck brace. He might mention it in his act, but just don't like mention it when you're bringing him up because it's kind of like a big reveal. Yeah. So the MC goes out and just goes like, this next comedian broke his neck sucking cock. And the fucking headliner just shot out and started beating the fuck out of the MC on stage.
Wow. Fucking well played, sir. That's fantastic.
So that's the fucking the final leaning in.
Yeah. Well, while you're going through that, remind me, I haven't had one where I've been told to avoid it, but you'll remember years ago I got in trouble for a joke regarding spoons.
Yeah.
And but I actually went back to that venue and did that joke like another 3 times or something, like just to prove a point.
Yeah.
Because I never got in trouble for it. For those listening, I got in trouble because one soldier person in the audience took offense to the joke.
Yeah.
And then, management, spoke whatever. But I actually went back and did that joke like another 3 times at that venue. Just to prove the point that that was like a one, like it's not the joke's fault.
Yeah,
that one person was offended. Some people are just offended.
It's not the joke's fault.
It's not the joke's fault. Leave my joke alone. It was a good joke, dude. It was a good joke. It was well written, well constructed. I was quite proud of that joke.
Yeah,
and it's not the joke's fault. Don't blame the joke. It's like having a pit bull or something. Like, it's not the pit bull's fault, okay? Like, that child was antagonizing. I've raised him well. My joke plays well with all the other jokes at home. I don't know why that joke acted like this.
That joke didn't bite off a body part.
It didn't bite off it. It's a well-behaved joke at home. Like, he's such a softie. He can come up and rub that little joke's face. But, he's a good jokey. He's a good jokey. And, he does. So I did it to prove that, the joke wasn't actually the fault in the situation.
Fuck yeah, dude.
But I remember this.
I was there when you did the joke.
Yeah, you were there. When
and I was there the night before when you did the same joke at a different venue.
Yeah, and it was nothing fine. And I remember when I did the joke the second time or the first time again at that venue, the venue manager just like gave me the massive dagger eyes from the back of the room, and I just gave him this cheeky smile. I went, just kept on with my joke, and no one got offended, so he decided to let it go. And but I just remember the daggers he gave me.
Fuck yeah, dude.
I was like, dude, nothing wrong with the joke. Doing my fucking joke.
Fuck yeah, dude. Well, that's the first bit of the podcast. We're going to take a break and come back for story time. So cheers to everyone for listening so far. And we'll be back in a second for stories. Come on, grab your friends. We're all...
I already forgot this one.
Okay. The fun will never end. It's...
Story time.
There we go. Alrighty, welcome back. It is story time. Now...
Cy Fahey
for story time, episode 100. Tuning in here on like a radio show.
Yeah.
Now, this one here is probably my most researched piece of episode and story time. So
I'm genuinely impressed.
I had to go back.
You went deep on this one.
Now, everyone knows the local store, Ivan's.
Ivan's Fashions.
It's in the city, but it used to have a storefront in the Tuggeranong Hyperdome.
Yeah.
So
holy shit. 341 likes and 246 comments.
You'll see on your screen if you are watching the video episode.
July.
Kai has left himself a blistering review on the Ivan's fashion.
Yeah.
Well, it's actually on the Tuggeranong Hyperdome page.
Yeah.
But it's in reference to Ivan's fashion. Okay, let me just... Well, no point in me saying it. Let's get the man himself. This is the audio book version of this review.
So I posted on the Tuggeranong Hyperdome. What's it called now? Something anyway. They've changed their name, but it's the big shopping centre in Tuggeranong, Canberra. So I posted on their page. This is 20th of July, 4:05 p.m, and I do believe this is sometime in 2016. Anyone thinking about shopping at Ivan's Fashion, don't bother. Never have I encountered a more rude proprietor. I like using big words when I'm pissed off. I was window shopping in preparation for my next pay. I told her this as I was trying to ask her some questions about her stock. She responded with along the lines of, I could tell as you remind me of a cow with how you chew your gum. Cows never spend money. When you're ready to spend money, then I'll get off my chair for you. Being an amiable bloke, a lot of people disagree with that. I ignored it and continued shopping, and then asked her about a white beanie. The white beanie was actually up behind her on the counter. Yeah. She told me to keep dreaming, so it's parted with a "Have a nice day," and she just ignored me. Wow, just wow! I was so pissed off, man. And I meant that I've never had such a rude proprietor. So, I'm not one generally to complain, but as I've gotten older, I'm getting that kind of. I wouldn't say I'm becoming a Karen. But I definitely start being more likely to call out bullshit. And she was just so rude. I've never thing. So I actually posted that
Hang
on. Yeah.
I've got a side note.
You got a side note?
The reason I was able to find this
Yeah.
is because you reshared it with this
I
caption.
did, yes.
The beginning of a very funny story, which ended with the police threatening to arrest me, an apparent lifetime ban from the Hyperdome.
So I posted that on the thing, and then the Hyperdome actually responded straight away with an apology and asking me to come in for a free coffee. They actually literally come in, a free coffee, right? And I'm like, that's cool, right? But then, as you saw on the video there, with 341 likes, 246 comments. The fucking thing exploded with comments. This is back when Facebook actually meant something.
Yeah.
You know that. And there were the amount of stories of people saying she'd just been just as rude to them. And like it was just non-stop. People were and like, this bitch still at it, and people were like, oh my God, I can't believe that place is still business, and yada yada yada. So then a couple of days later, right, after reading those stories, I was drunk. Me drunk? What the fuck? Kai doesn't drink. What are you talking about? Hold on. Right, I was drunk at home, and I only had a vague.
R.I.P. to people that fucking hate ASMR.
So I was pretty pissed, and I don't actually fully record doing it, but I set up a Facebook event called Window Shopping at Ivan's Fashions, right? And I invited everyone who had commented on this thing. Like I made it an open page thing. I told people to invite their friends and all this, right? And then I let it go. Like I went to bed, kind of thing. And I woke up the next morning.
Oh no! It's
and
like my cousin Corey's house party. Corey Worthington's house.
He's actually your cousin?
Let's keep going with your story.
Right. No, he was actually one of the answers in my trivia night the other night. I hosted trivia, and there was actually one of the answers about the house party.
Like without leaving that ambiguous.
Big word.
Yeah, I like to
distant cousin, very distant cousin.
I like to use them when I'm giving reviews. There's a chance that we're related.
Yeah.
Same sort of vein as like how Sam Worthington might be related.
Yeah.
But I'm
more
more willing.
I was going to use that one of my roasts about you, actually, the Worthington name. But anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. We'll leave it like that. Distant cousin. Just like I'm distantly related to John Fahey, the Premier, possibly, maybe.
Yeah,
Who knows?
Okay.
So I invited everyone who had commented and liked this thing, right? And so I go to bed, and I wake up the next morning, and 300 people had said they were going to be at this thing, right? And I'm like, holy crap. Like, I was like, oh, what did you do, Kai? But I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I've done it. Who cares? And I didn't really think much of it, like people think like that. And then like 2 days later, my phone rings. And I'm like, just this block, like a private number. And I answer the phone, and it's like, hello, is this Cy Fahey? And I'm like, yeah. And she's like, this is Sergeant Constable fucking rah from whatever Taronga Police Station. And I was like, oh, okay. What can I do for you? And she's like, we've been made aware of this Facebook thing that you've done, right? And where I'm ringing to instruct you to take it down. Like she was like, I'm telling you to take it down. You can't go through with this. And if you decide to go through with this, we're going to charge you with inciting an affray. Now, I've never been charged with anything in my entire life.
Kai Affray.
Yeah, Kai Affray. And I won't lie, a part of me was almost like, if I'm going to get charged with something, inciting an affray is such a fucking cool thing to get charged with, you know what I mean?
What are you in for?
It was just like, hey, what are you in for? Inciting an affray, motherfucker. I'm a Facebook criminal. Fucking hell. You know? And then... yeah, boy, Zuckerberg got nothing on me. You know,
cyber criminal.
So, yeah, it would make and so I won't lie. Part of me was like, how fucking cool is that? But
cyber affray,
Kyber affray. We're going for Kyber affray. But yeah, so essentially, this cop rang up to put the kibosh on it. Oh, see what I did, and told me I couldn't go through with it, so we're going to have me charged, and so. Discretion being the better part of valor, I actually made a retraction post on the event that like an hour later after I spoke to the police, and I cancelled the event.
Yeah.
But she also informed me too that I now have a lifetime ban from the Taronga Hyperdome, which I've been there fucking dozens of times.
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck. What are you going to do? Like they've got cameras watching me.
Yeah.
But I didn't go because it was for a Saturday afternoon, 3 p.m. And the cop on the phone, she's like, like this is a family centre. Like you're essentially starting a riot, or you're trying to start. And I was like, I didn't start. Like, because when I wrote the post too, I was very explicit in saying, make sure you just ask questions. Like I didn't say anything that would be inciting violence. I didn't say I wasn't there to call. I was just there to be a pain in the ass, which is what comedian, like, I'm a fucking comedian, right? But of course, I'm not an idiot too. I know how badly those things can actually go, get turned down. As much as being charged with inciting the fray would be really cool, I didn't want to be attached to like actual violence. Like I was very specific in writing, just go there, just window shop, just ask questions, like just make this, But yeah, so I got a lifetime ban, and I got that. And I didn't go to the Hyperdome that day.
Yeah.
Because I knew they would be looking for me. Like, they probably had a photo of me. Like, it actually makes me always wonder, the amount of times I've rung police up for various things or whatever, and they're like, oh, we can't do that. You can't do that? How the fuck did those bastards get my phone number when they needed it? You know what I mean? Like, you say, oh, we can't do that. It's not within our power. Next thing you know, cops calling me. Like, how did you get this number? Like, kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's not, your license it's not attached to your fucking license, whatever. But anyway, so I didn't go, but a friend of mine who I worked with at the time said he was actually in Tuggeranong that day.
Yeah.
And he said they had security. The place was crawling with security guards. They had like 3 security guards standing at the front of Ivan's.
Oh, shit.
And he saw 2 other teams of 3 like paroling the area at that time and stuff like that. So if nothing else, I made them spend a lot of money on extra security. And hopefully I brought management's attention to how because, like that place now, because apparently she's like that to everyone. That place does not turn they don't turn stock over.
Yeah.
How are they making money, Marky? How are they making money and paying for the rent? Like the rent of those places is like in the thousands per month. You know what I mean?
Especially when they were in Civic. Like they've moved from where they were to a different spot.
Well, I used to own a business at Gungahlin Marketplace.
Yeah.
Many moons ago, 15 years ago. And even 15 years ago, it was $7,000 a month.
Yeah, and before Gungahlin was what it is now.
Yeah, before Gungahlin. This is back when Gungahlin was just the 2 buildings. It was before it was the 4 buildings.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it was still $7,000 a month.
Yeah.
So you imagine what like Hyperdome or something like that, they're probably 10, 12, 15 grand a month for some of those. Some of those shops,
probably. I just don't know how the fuck they.
So how is a place?
I suppose it'll always be a mystery. Anyway, let's move on.
Yeah. So anyway, I mean they're not there anymore in that place. So I guess I've had the last laugh.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, that's the one time Kai almost got charged with inciting an affray, which I have to lie, I have regrets. I sometimes think I should have gone through with it. Like, fuck
dude,
it. Why not? Like, that's a comedy story there.
You could have just been like, all right, I'm not going to... I'll change the event. Yeah. And then just change it to be my solo show. Yeah.
Just get there and start doing. I've never had 300 people at a show before. Woo, yeah. Check.
Now performing at Tuggeranong Hyperdome. But yeah, that's pretty funny. That's exactly what you mentioned with Corey Worthington. He was like, oh yeah, I'm just going to... That was back in the day when the default for Facebook events was public.
Yeah.
And...
So people could just jump on.
And also, it was visible by public. It wasn't like you didn't need to post it in groups or anything. Yeah. You could literally just type in house party and all these public ones would just come up. And people would. That's how people got around. When I was in high school, that's how everyone just fucking went to shit. There you go. But yeah, I kind of missed out on that era of the internet.
Speaking of that I do have a story kind of on those lines. So my little adopted brother, my little brother, like, he's my adopted brother anyway. He had a pretty, I've mentioned you before, bit of a street reputation. His 18th birthday went Corey Worthington big and the right squad. This happened in Canberra, like in a suburb of Canberra. This is going back, like 20 years.
Yeah.
Actually, probably 20 years this year.
Yeah.
And I said he was pretty known for, sort of being a bit of a, party animal and hard ass and all that. And he was kind of known, around like the youth centres and all that.
Yeah.
So his birthday party, and I was there.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're talking 300 people. Fuck. Like minimum 200, somewhere around 300. And I had left.
Yeah.
I had left because I actually was travelling to Melbourne the next day. So I actually left the party early. But from what I hear, the right the right police showed up
Fuck
by
yeah,
about
dude.
1 a.m. in the morning. And they had hired these massive speakers, and they just had these huge speakers sitting in the back of utes.
Yeah.
And like, it was just like doof, doofing like the whole suburb out. And like, yeah, like it apparently got like, you know, he invited like 40 people, and just kind of got around, party at this guy's house, and
Word of mouth.
yeah, and it just went.
Fuck. Yes,
You know,
dude.
like, yeah.
Yeah, I remember before the ACT banned fireworks.
Yeah. The good old days.
Family member of mine had his pyro's license, and I think it was Charnwood Oval.
Yeah.
Put on a pyro fucking display when he first got his license.
Yeah.
Sat there with his 2007 laptop.
Yeah.
And just had or whenever it was banned. It was like one of the OG
Yeah,
laptops.
yeah.
It might have even been older than that. I don't know
Yeah.
when they banned it. But anyway, I was super young, so I didn't know. But yeah, flyered the fucking suburb to come to the Oval and check it out.
Check it out.
And put on a full pyro display for the whole neighborhood.
Wow.
When he was like
Yeah.
a teenager.
That's cool.
Yeah. What a fucking mad cunt.
I reckon it would have been about 2006. Crackers were
Yeah,
were
okay.
banned.
Yeah.
2006.
Yeah, so he did a full thing. He was a
Bring back
wild
crackers.
dude. He had a fucking like a Nissan Maxima.
Yeah,
and the
yeah.
whole boot was filled with batteries.
Yeah.
Because it had hydraulics in it. So he bought it with his first job. He saved up, and I went round to his place, older cousin of mine.
Yeah.
He backs it out of the shed, and it's just like a whole boot full of batteries, and just goes zzz, and lifts a little bit, and then it ran out of batteries, so it just sat there stuck in the air. And he's just like, oh well, anyway, that's basically my little toy. Yeah, what a mad chap. Yeah, but yeah. So we got that. We got I'll see if I've got. I want to try and keep to my
Yeah, keep your list.
point.
Yeah.
People may not have noticed. I'm now wearing
you're
the
wearing
Thinking Man Bogan shirt.
Thinking Man Bogan
Yes,
t-shirt.
come back after the break, wearing each other's shirts. But
You know what I love most about the shirt? Sorry to be.
Yeah.
Is that tattoo on the shirt? That is actually my tattoo.
That's an
on my
actual
arm.
thing,
That's
yeah.
an actual proper. Like he
Yeah.
actually. Yeah. That is actually my tattoo.
yeah, he did well
He
with
put all
it.
the detail in. Very
Yeah.
impressive. TristanTate.com.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So what are we doing?
All right, so we're gonna do. Here's a bit from. So I opened for Doug Stanhope, and that's one thing that we will talk about a little bit more towards the end of the show. But just on the tail end of this story time, I ordered some merch from Stanhope after the gig. I already had a few sets of merch, but I was just like, I might get a couple extra things because he did a sale on his merch. But the thing that Stanhope's renowned for, his merch people, is they actually get rid of random shit when you buy merch as packaging. For example, I got another comedian's shirt that they sent Stanhope as a gift as packaging for his merch when he sent it to me.
That's
so
awesome.
But one of the things is people may not know this.
That's how I got my Marky Worthington shirt. Actually, I bought some Doug
Stanhope
stuff.
merch. Yeah.
Mark Worthington
Well,
shirt.
I did a podcast with Stanhope, and I am going to record it onto VHS.
Yeah.
But I got him to sign the blank VHS when I seen him. So once I record it on there, I'll have a VHS with the podcast
and that podcast and stuff.
I'm then going to record a second one that's not signed and send it to him so that then that might go out to someone when they
rando.
buy merch.
Yeah, yeah.
And it'll just be the podcast of me and Stanhope.
Yeah.
But yeah, the packaging that came with this merch is, people may not know this, Doug Stanhope's from a small town in Arizona called Bisbee, and this is their whole newspaper, by the way. This isn't, it's like
Can't times that your heart out.
yeah, it is literally 12 pages, and there's one very important page at the end of it. People that are not watching the video are just going to hear paper moving, but anyway, they have a section on here called the Police Beat. Basically, what they do is they have the Bisbee Police Department documents all of their calls, and then they publish it in the paper so that people can read about their things. It's even funny because they don't just have general terms. Literally, there's one here that names a Vanessa Hernan or a Mills McNeil.
So it's not
Actual
like
names.
Yeah, like it's not just like a man contacted the police on this day. It's like,
Okay, so I'm going to just randomly choose one of these to read out as the Bisbee Observer. This is the Bisbee Observer Police Beat. And this is a bit that they do on the Stanhope podcast, but I feel like it's been given to us by sheer...
the angels. The
the
universe
angels.
has dictated it.
The Stanhope merch people giveth. Okay.
And when their lawyers get involved, they'll take it.
Nathan Bunbury, 43.
Yeah.
Bisbee, just in case you didn't know. Was booked into jail and charged with aggravated domestic violence and passive resisting arrest.
Passive resisting arrest.
Yes.
Is that like
I don't know what the fuck
Is that
that
like a kid who just like lies down on the ground and goes dead weight? Like, no, I don't want to go to tennis. And I just like lay there like, you're like, trying to grab their arm.
I want ice cream, not until you have your arrest.
That's right. You can have ice cream after I've arrested you.
Or you'll need ice cream after you get arrested because the cops like break your jaw.
Oh yeah, fuck yeah, why not?
Yeah, so that's my random one. You can
yeah.
choose one from
Oh,
there.
really?
The one I read's up there, so
Okay.
whichever one you want. The police beat, the Bisbee police. And when they do it on Stanhope's podcast, they got like an audio thing.
I'm going to read this one out because it actually reminds me of the story I just told.
Okay.
George Mills, 51, McNeil, so not from Bisbee, I guess, was booked into jail charged with disobeying a judicial mandate, stalking and harassing. He was booked into jail again on October the 2nd for stalking. Busy man, but that's like he went to the actual inside of an fray. Like he showed up. Like,
he actually went to
he
the
actually went to the
Hyperdome,
inside. He actually went to the Hyperdome. Jesus Christ. Yeah.
Fuck yeah, dude. Well, that is the Bisbee police
Bisbee
beat.
police.
Never to be
It's
repeated.
weird they put that into a paper.
It's crazy because
I'm sure that's breaching some sort of confidentiality. Legal
I tell you what's a breach
confidentiality
of
or something.
confidentiality. The delivery address, Doug Stanhope, 212 Van Dyke Street, Bisbee, Arizona. There you go. No, he's got it on his website.
Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah, I don't think he cares.
Just before anyone fucking goes. It's actually... But
I accidentally...
here's what's just...
I accidentally doxed somebody once when I was at work because I used to be a courier.
Really? Yeah.
And so I was delivering a package to what's his name? Famous Australian runner, and I actually took a photo of it because I couldn't believe it, and I wasn't thinking. Obviously, it was early in the morning. I actually accidentally posted the guy's address online.
Fuck yeah.
Until some people
wild.
pointed it out to me, and I quickly removed it.
Yeah.
And, I accidentally doxed that famous Australian runner. Anyway, he used to do the TV ads for the athletes shop or something as well. But anyway.
No, I don't.
Yeah, lives in Canberra.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah.
Makes sense. If you're in Canberra, you're running from something.
Yeah, running from something. So I accidentally did that one time.
Yeah, I don't care that I said his address, but here's one cool thing. It's not just a Bisbee Observer. This is actually the one that was for Doug. So it's like, says Doug Stanhope. Like,
that was actually the one delivered to his house.
To his house, yeah. So that goes into the collection.
Yeah.
And speaking of Doug Stanhope, I'm going to play a clip at the end of this podcast, which is basically from episode, I think, 41, as I mentioned before, with Phil Carruthers. And it's from 2021. I'll put the date up when I post it.
It's when Marky was wanting to suck Phil Carruthers' cock.
Yeah, just because has been near Doug Stanhope. Yeah. And,
just the tip. Come on, just the tip.
And then it's good to cut from there because basically it's a just over 1 minute clip of me talking about how much of a fan of Doug Stanhope I am. And as you mentioned, here's a callback to the first half of this episode. When Luke Burney was getting roasted by Jimmy Carr, we in that same episode spoke about when Joel P was there and he was still a lot more mobile. He'd not long been in the chair and he was still able to sort of push himself around. He went to that Doug Stanhope gig and Stanhope addressed Why there's a dude in a wheelchair.
Oh, here we got a guy in a wheelchair. Look at this. Yeah.
I hear there's a crippled man here. So he goes, so what are you in the chair for?
Yeah.
And he goes, oh, I got MS. And he goes, what, you just got it? Like you woke up feeling a bit MS-y? And I tell you what's funny, the last episode, one of the last times that Joel P actually was able to speak before he had a stroke and lost his adequate speech.
Yeah.
He did the podcast and he spoke about it. So that's also in the archive of him talking about how good it was to be roasted by Doug Stanhope. Yeah. And I spoke to Phil about it and I'm like, he was so excited. He's like, yes, I'm getting roasted by Doug Stanhope. Do it. And the thing is, he was just fine. He's just smiling, being all MS-y and shit, like just grinning. And the fucking, or it could have been a spasm, but Joel still used to drink.
Yeah.
Although he was on a bunch of medications and shit. Yeah. He'd still drink, right? But the thing is, because he was didn't have as much function, he would drink as much as he did before, but he would have to piss twice for every beer. Yeah. So midway through the show, within 10 minutes of him giving it to him, he starts pushing himself out, wheeling it out. Yeah. And Stanhope's midway through a bit and he just goes, don't you fucking walk out on me. And so that was a good way to do it. So
awesome.
But smash cut to I think the end of Feb this year.
Yeah.
Kai came to the basement, another gig that you got to sit front row for with the partner.
I had to leave halfway through.
Fuck. And
I didn't tell you about.
You didn't tell me.
I left halfway through because my daughter actually rang me from hospital.
Oh, shit.
I had to bail on the last bit. But I didn't tell you the other thing.
Now we know she's listening.
Yeah. The other bit I didn't tell you too is that there was actually a girl when I got there. There's this girl that I kind of very briefly dated after my marriage fell apart. Yeah. And things kind of went a bit sour between me and her because she had this expectation of me, which I wasn't going to be able to satisfy. I've just I'm in the middle of getting a divorce kind of thing.
Don't be a cunt. You're like, I'm sorry, darling, I can't do that. Yeah,
pretty much. But anyway, so she we unfriended. She moved to the US.
Yeah.
It was there for years. And then that night, she was actually for some strange reason,
fucking
she was actually at that gig. And so we kind of got talking, just me and you, hey, how are you? I hope you're all right.
Yeah.
But then she was there with her boyfriend, who she'd brought over from the States.
Oh, shit.
And then every time I would walk past them, because they were sitting up in the back.
Yeah.
Every time I walked past them, they would start macking on 16-year-old teenagers, trying to prove. I still don't. I was just like, okay. Good on ya.
Yeah,
I'm happy for. I don't know what you're trying to prove.
Yeah,
and people just go, I used to look at his ego. He's like, they're macking on to impress me, and I can understand why people might think that. But I would literally see them the moment she saw me would turn and start what I mean. It wasn't like they were macking on, and I just saw them. I would see her actually turn to start.
Dude, I would have a
God
complex,
and I was just like,
I'd be like,
weird
kiss. I'd be like, do it.
His kiss.
It was impressive.
It was so weird. And then probably about 20 minutes before Doug had to wrap up.
Yeah.
I get a phone call. My phone started blowing up. I'm like, I better answer. It was my daughter, and she was literally ringing me your housemate is. I'm on the way to hospital with the housemate. She's taking me to the hospital.
Oh, shit.
So I was like, okay, I've got to go.
You got to go.
Turned out she was fine. She just had a skin reaction, and she burst out in the hives and whatever. But then as I'm trying to leave, this chick starts macking on with this dude again. I'm like, good on ya, and I've actually got way more important things to do.
Yeah, what the fuck?
But it was just so weird.
That is weird.
And people probably listen going, God, look at this guy talking about her. But it struck me as such a weird... For me, that was such a weird night.
Yeah.
I'm going to the hospital.
Doug Stanhope.
It was just it was such a weird night for me. I remember that gig very well, but for different reasons. I guess, you know what I mean? But it was also really cool to see you up there opening for Doug, man. I was real super proud of you for that. And I actually told someone went to, because you had the whole microphone thing going on, and somebody went to change the mic, and I was like, because I was front row, I was like, hey, have you spoken to Marky about changing that mic? And he's like, yeah, I have. I'm like, okay, as long as you got Marky's approval.
Yeah, good, man. You saved my ass. And the funny thing is, I ended up needing to change it anyway.
Yeah.
So the story goes, I bought a brand new microphone to get Doug to sign the microphone.
Yeah.
And he signed it, and I put it in my back pocket, and I'm like, all right, time to open. So I go out there, and as soon as I grab the mic, the fucking, the cable was loose.
Yeah.
And I had the signed one in my pocket.
So you had
So
to-
I'm like, I need to make a sacrifice. So for the greater good of the room, I pulled the old mic out, put it in my pocket, pulled out the brand new but signed one, and plugged it in, and did my set on that microphone.
Yeah.
Put it back in the stand, and then Stanhope came out and did his set
on that
microphone. And I'm like, hey,
That's even better, though.
He used it, but now the signature's gone. I get there at the end of the gig, pull it out, signature's still there.
Hey, beautiful.
And it's only ever been used by me and Doug Stanhope, and
That's
it's
awesome.
signed by him. And the tour manager took a photo next to stage of him doing the set.
Yeah.
And visible in the set is the signature.
Yeah.
And I realised Doug
deliberately held it
so
to
that he
say-
didn't rub the signature off.
Wow, man! Congratulations, Doug. That's a real act of
He noticed the signature and
charity
just
and all
fucking
that.
did
And,
it.
Yeah. So anyway, Doug Stanhope signed microphone up on eBay. One more while.
Dude, it's like Dom said when he did the roast. He's just like, if you're going to talk to Marky, you need to allow the 45 minutes about how he managed to box up a piece of pocket lint from Doug Stanhope, and now it's his prized possession. But we're going to close out this show.
totally.
You'll see the clip from me and Phil Carruthers, and then there'll be a snippet of my set from the Stanhope gig, which I'm going to burn on this because it was a topical thing, but I think it's a good premise. But before we close up, I have something for you, Kai.
Oh, what? You didn't have to, man.
We have this photo from 2008.
2008, that's my very first time on stage.
Very first time
Look
on
how
stage.
young. Was I
Cy
ever that
Fahey,
young?
2008, wearing his, probably from Ivan's, dirty denim.
Probably stolen from Ivan's, but I bought it from Vinny's. I bought it from Vinny's.
I have.
Holy crap! Oh wow!
I went online and did as much digging as I needed to do
that's
to find.
You know, like, I'm so proud of that, man, because I actually lost that shirt because I loaned it to a female friend of mine when she was going through some hard times. So I was trying to help her out.
Yeah.
And she ended up leaving it in a pile of wet laundry, and the shirt went moldy.
Yeah.
And I was so... Because that was the first shirt I ever wore on stage,
Yeah,
man.
well,
So that's,
I went on eBay.
dude.
I did some digging. I found a vintage collectible seller.
Jesus, dirty man. That is epic.
Yeah.
That is epic.
I found so we'll say to the audio listeners, it's like a 2008 fucking dirty denim shirt.
And it's really nice blue. That's really cool, dude. Seriously, no, honestly, man, that's really cool.
Cool.
And that can replace in my memory.
Yeah.
In my memory, I'm now wearing this shirt. In that photo.
The blue one, yeah.
That's cool. I'm gonna put it on right now.
Yeah.
That's
Like,
awesome,
yeah.
man. Seriously, thank you.
Hey, cheers for tuning in to episode 100 of the Marky Worthington Comedy Podcast. Signing out, it's Marky Worthington and...
Cy Fahey, thank you so much for having me.
Buy me a drink.
Just name names.
Yeah, right. Big Tony. You'll get fucking thrown out of the strip club with your floppy disk.
all day.
Make people feel ashamed for shit all day.
Don't blow
Turn it
it.
into a hard drive.
Yeah, right. We're here to
Keep it simple. Count your money.
that they're not proud of.
Just give me $10.
Click.
Did you hang up?
No, I just said click.
I'm a massive Stanhope fan. Dude, we've talked for like an hour and we still haven't brought this up. We spoke briefly about Stanhope. You fucking opened for him a few years ago.
Oh yeah, that's one of the achievements.
Yeah.
It is weird because I think the only reason it happened is because at the time I was one of the administrators on the stand-up comedy in Canberra page.
Yep.
And because it's alphabetical by surname, I would have been one of the top.
Yeah.
And his like Australian tour manager just like I think wanted someone who could plug the Canberra gig. And it's just like, do you want to open, also post the gig to that page?
It's like in that movie Goodfellas.
Yeah.
Where it's just like Ray Liotta's character is just like, me or Jimmy couldn't be made because we had Irish blood.
Yeah.
But when whatever Pesci's character got made,
Yeah.
it was like we were all getting made
Yeah.
because he was one of us and he was doing that. Yeah. That's how I felt. I was just like, someone that I do comedy with is opening for the Doug Stanhope.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, fuck, that's like, it makes it like, it's like, oh fuck, I'm like 2 degrees of separation now.
Yeah.
Whereas he was like up on a pedestal, but now I'm like getting closer. Like I'm close. It's, to be fair, man, that's a long stretch. Like I'm fucking going like, I'm basically friends with Doug Stanhope.
All right, guys. I've been Marky Worthington. Are you guys ready for your headlining act for the night? Let's welcome to the stage the legendary Doug Stanhope, everybody.
I love you, Marky. Hey,